Hi, my name's Barry Corliss, Business Development Director at Global Knowledge. And I'm here to answer a question that I've been asked a number of times in the last few months since we launched our postgraduate certificate in IT Service Management along with the Open University. And that question is surrounding the CPD, Continuous Professional Development part of the modules, part of the second module of the course. So here I'm going to give you a very, very brief flavour of some of the CPD that we'll be offering as online modules. Now, what we're trying to do is move away, I think, from the latest iteration of the siloed approach to running information systems. And moving away, the old iteration of that was kind of tech support and application support and desktop support. And the new iteration of siloed approach in information systems is project management and service management and business analysis. And we think it's very, very important to understand IT service management and how it integrates with things like people management, with technology and with other frameworks. Indeed, the success of your organisation in the next 5 to 10 years is going to depend on your ability to be able to do that. So although managing IT services using ITIL continues to be the core approach, ITIL is actually just one of a set of standards and tools and that you're going to use. And you really do need to understand a much wider range of frameworks to expand your knowledge of IT service management and how it might be more effective in your organisation. Through these modules, what we're going to seek to do is to put service management and put a service management slant onto many of these major topics that face IT service providers in businesses today. So, the Continuous Professional Development section of the course is going to cover the following modules. The first one is Service Management in the Cloud. This module is going to cover a basic introduction to the cloud and its associated delivery and service models, such as business process as a service, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and so on. It goes on to look at building the business case for a shift to cloud. As part of looking at the risks of a switch to cloud, we're going to scrutinise the service management governance issues facing us in these environments. The module finishes by taking a process-by-process view of the key aspects of service management that need to be dealt with in the cloud computing environment, as well as a specific view on service level management. The next module I want to cover is Agile and IT Service Management. As organisations want quicker and faster solutions, so Agile methodologies have flourished. Here we're going to explore how and why Agile has created and what Agile has created with a look at both Scrum and DSDM A-Turn. You'll be able to investigate new ways of working brought about by web business and big data, using the different methodologies, and what they do is effectively help you to balance stability and responsiveness. Finally, we're going to explore the questions what else IT service management can actually learn from Agile approaches. Can some of its working practices, its roles, its methods be used for anything other than big development projects? We're also going to take an in-depth look at supplier management as one of our CPD modules. Many IT providers are finding themselves managing more and more suppliers than they actually do of their own staff. In this module, we look at procurement as part of an integrated supply chain that connects suppliers and customers. Often underrepresented and neglected, the module also covers a look at supplier management from the complex view of the supplier themselves. Power, economics and behaviour, 3 important topics in there. We investigate ways to control supplier relationships using objective metrics to measure your procurement and how the performance of your suppliers is actually progressing. Finally, there are many aspects to consider when implementing supplier management. Here, we're going to consider everything we need from supply chain information sharing to building trust. Another module is going to be communication for service management. Managing so many relationships can't fail to bring communication into some sort of context. And this module is going to cover communication in context of service and its management, setting objectives for communication, knowing your audience, different communication styles. We're also going to explore things like timing of communication, its design using modern technology, and measuring the success of your communication. Next up, a CPD module covering toolset exploitation. A good toolset will not necessarily make your service management work on its own, but a bad one certainly will break it. To start this section, we're going to put toolset quality marks under the spotlight, and we're going to examine in particular things like APMG's toolset accreditation program and the proprietary Pink Verify. And we're going to ask the vexed question, how useful are they really? Moving on, the module performs an in-depth exploration of some of the software as a service tool offerings and how they might change the face of IT support. We're going to ask the question, will bring your own device actually result in it bring your own service desk? The module concludes by investigating the vendor claims through the question, how off the shelf can a tool set really be? The next CPD module is going to be focused very much around and specifically on governance. First up in this section, we'll tackle the thorny issue of the difference between governance and management. Why do people confuse the two, and how can we tell them apart? The module explores corporate governance through the eyes of things like SOX, JSOX, the EU 8th Directive and ISO 38500. A pillar of IT governance is around the world is COBIT, particularly in IT service management. We're going to look at its principles and explore the differences that COBIT 5 has brought to governance and its control arena. The module concludes by investigating some of the industry-focused governance modules with topics such as PCI DSS, offshoring and data protection. Another module is going to cover leadership for service management. Good service management is often characterised by strong inspirational leadership. Leading service management teams and creating service culture requires a variety of skills. As part of our leadership module, we take some of the theory, things like great man leadership, situational management, relational leadership, behavioural and management types, and these different types of leadership theories are explored for their applicability to the service management environment. We look at the traits and skills required to lead a 21st century service management organisation. Next up, we're going to take a look at business relationship management. A good relationship with the customer is key to effective service management. This module investigates current thinking behind a holistic approach to building and maintaining that relationship. It will investigate the business relationship management process to identify and describe various aspects of business relationships in terms of relationship types, processes, and the things that make up business relationship life cycles. Changing values of business relationships over time as well is going to be covered in this all-encompassing module. The final two modules feature one around service management metrics. It was Sir John Harvey Jones, former leader of ICI, who's been much quoted for his assertion that if you can't measure or monitor it, then you're certainly not going to be able to manage it. Meaningful business metrics aid understanding the value of a service. A look at different metric types and creation of balanced scorecards that provide management information you can trust and work with. So much service management and so much of service management metrics tell us about history. Let's create service management metrics that tell us about the future and enable us to manage the organisation. The final area is a look at creating a service culture. Every organisation wants one. Many like to think they've got one. Few actually truly understand what a service culture is. This module poses the fundamental question to start off with. Why is service so important? It seeks to understand what service culture truly is. And once you've found your service culture, how are you going to measure it? The final element of this module covers tips and techniques for implementing or improving your service culture. I think one thing you'll see through the whole of the CPD that I've just covered in the last 5 or 10 minutes or so, that there are a great variety of modules covering a very, very wide range of topics. What we think is there's going to be something in there for everybody, And given that your CPD is likely to have to cover 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 of these different areas, then what we hope to provide is a wide approach and a wide view of the kind of service management education that can further you and your organisation as part of your postgraduate certificate in IT service management. For more information, just go along and visit our website. Good luck with your studies.